Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. This is the Enter the Battlefield Highlander Store Championship Invitational. I am Chris, and I'm here with my best buddy Adam.
Hello, everyone. I think you might have seen me before on some random Wednesday night streams from time to time.
Adam's around the shop relatively often. We're going to be bringing you our top 8 bracket. These players have competed over the last 6 months. We have a monthly Canadian Highlander event, which if you're in the Newmarket GTA area, you should definitely come out and play in. It's always the last Saturday of every month. We have 5 winners, because one of these players has won, Rick. And then we have 3 players who have accumulated the most points, but did not win an individual season to get into here. That's kind of the background on how this event has come together, and we have a bracket which will show up and have all the lovely players' names on it.
Yeah. So just for folks that are wondering, if you've never heard of Canadian Highlander before, this is a 100-card format, singleton, like Commander, but no commanders, played one-on-one, 20 life, so normal rules. The big get, I guess, or difference with this format versus others is that the points list flavors how you can build your deck. So you can play, original Moxen, you can play Black Lotus, but each of these really powerful cards is worth some number of points, and you can play a max of 10 points per deck. So that's a big part about deck building and about how you want to build your decks. I love this format because a lot of people liken it to cube constructed.
Yeah, that's
so
a great way to put it.
any kind of aristocrats or blue-red control, you can build that in a 100-card format, and they're really sweet decks. So I'm really excited. I love this format, and I'm not an employee here, but I play one on stream.
Yeah, that's it. De facto employee.
De facto employee. So yeah, I guess, sorry, I feel like I'm making Frank jump around, but I guess let's go to the bracket, and we'll just run down kind of who is playing today, what decks they're and then intro who you're going to be seeing on stream here shortly.
Right. Match 1, which is going to be the one that we see on stream, the one in the top left corner, is going to be Sia against Eric. We're going to have a Jeskai pile against a Grixis midrange pile. We chose this one to go on stream because there's probably going to be a ton of action and a lot of interaction, which is what at least I love to see.
Yeah. Next, we're going to have Cameron and Dan. So Cameron is on Flash Spellseeker. Dan is on Paradox Academy. This is probably going to be over before our first game is done. This is going to be like 2 combo ships passing in the night. I expect it's going to be a very fast matchup, and we'll see kind of who comes out on top on the left side of the bracket.
Then we got the right side of the bracket going. Our very own David Vance has qualified by winning the last possible event to get in. I'm excited because he's playing a Jund deck, which I would probably play myself. And he's going to be going up against Freya, who's on medium red, which is another deck I would probably play myself.
Yeah, but she is playing a sticker card, so I don't know how I feel about that.
I want to see Guacamole.
I want to see Guacamole. Guacamole Goblin, let's go. And then lastly, in a kind of funny turn of events, Nathan versus Rick. A tale as old as time, I feel, for our Highlander events.
That's it, yeah.
And specifically in this case, playing a near mirror match with Grixis Reanimator versus Esper Reanimator. Lots of similar cards, lots of powerful stuff that they're looking to bring back from the graveyard.
If there's something degenerate to do in this format, Rick will do it.
Yep, that I can't disagree with you there. So really looking forward to how these matches play out, and depending on how this match that we're going to have on stream goes, we might be able to bring on another match for this first round, but essentially the rest of the day, how that's going to play out is we will then be able to broadcast to you at home the semifinal matches one after the other, and then the final, and see who.
Round 1 will be the only matches you're going to miss out on at all for the entire tournament.
Yeah.
With that being said, I think we've done enough talking, and everybody came here to watch some dueling, or battling, or Highlander-ing, or there can be only one.
There can be only one in this Highlander event of Highlander.
Let's do it.
Matches.
If we can get Frank to throw it over to the game action. I know the players have already done result mulligans and who's going to go first. Sia won the die roll, and they both kept 7.
Awesome. All right, and so we have, if I'm not mistaken, Sia on the left-hand side and Eric on the right-hand side. We have a basic island with, it looks like on the end step of
Consider.
Of Eric's turn, a Consider. So we don't know what starting hands these folks kept, but just in general, what you're going to be seeing here, Sia and Eric both have pretty similar deck lists, Jeskai versus Grixis, so sharing a lot of the red-blue cards in their decks. Things like Consider, the counter spells of the deck, lots of the same creatures as well. Though both are relatively creature light. These are, I think, leaning on the control side of mid-range.
Definitely.
Lots of really great removal, interaction, some powerful planeswalkers, both also playing Ancestral Recall. And so I wonder if we'll see, just based on someone getting an early Ancestral, if that ends up kind of taking the game for them. And then I guess the major difference being the black and white card. So Eric with Grix is playing a lot of really powerful, especially some newer ones like Orcish Bowmasters, Opposition Agent, and Shieldred the Apocalypse. So if Sia does get an Ancestral Recall, that might hurt if he has a Shieldred out. And then Sia playing some really powerful white removal spells and also some initiative cards. So pretty light in that regard, but White Plume Adventurer being definitely the most
Definitely
powerful.
a format all-star.
Yeah. And a very new card as well. Actually, a couple of new cards in Sia's deck. In Aragorn, King of Gondor, that's the Jeskai Initiative, Monarch card from the EDH release.
And the One Ring, which has been taking over the world.
Yeah, I saw this card in Sia's deck, and I was actually wondering, I'm guessing he's just planning on drawing some cards and maybe eventually like removing it with his own spell of some kind. Like I don't know, or maybe he's just gonna eat a few damage every turn, draws a couple cards off of it. Speaking of White Plume Adventurer, it looks like we have potentially the initiative. It's unclear if this is in response to the White Plume being cast. I think we're gonna find out.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Yeah.
We had a DRC that was taken out in the meantime.
Yeah, by it looks like a
Chain
lightning.
lightning. Yeah.
I imagine Eric is going to want to do whatever he can to stop this from resolving, because if he doesn't,
it can steamroll real quick.
Yeah, and it looks
like it is
resolving.
If people would like a quick rundown of the points for each of the players in this matchup as well too, Sia's point allotment is going to True Name, Treasure Cruise, Recall, and Mana Drain. And then Eric is playing True Name, Treasure Cruise, Mana Drain, and Recall.
So again, very, very close to each other here in terms of the powerful cards. All right. So for those folks unfamiliar with the initiative, this is a Monarch-like mechanic that was introduced as of the Baldur's Gate release a few years back at this point now.
Yeah.
It's been a pretty big powerhouse in the format since it's become available for people to play. In a lot of ways, it's like a mixture of the Monarch mechanic and the going through the dungeon mechanic that was part of the standard release of the Dungeons and Dragons or Adventures in D&D set. Looks like we have
got a push
fatal
taken
push
out
to
the
take
White
that.
Plume.
Unfortunately, though, as good as that
is, the initiative needs to swap hands
Yeah.
for you to catch up. So that's only step one of the two-step process of stopping this train.
And it doesn't look like Eric has a creature here to be able to threaten.
Yeah,
combat
notably
damage, which
both
will
of
actually
these
take it.
decks are going to be pretty creature light as well too,
Right.
which is going to make it even more difficult to kind of win back the initiative advantage.
Right. So again, for you folks that maybe are unfamiliar, the initiative mechanic basically starts you on this path. Often we see players take the first step of being able to get a basic out of their deck, so some card advantage. But then as you go through the different rooms in the dungeon, you have some different options available to you.
Dome someone for 5.
That's a pretty powerful line, I think, if you're on the aggressive plan. But if you hit the end of the dungeon, which you just naturally do if you have the initiative, like you don't have to do anything special, you just continually go through the dungeon, then you're looking through, I think it's the top 10 cards of your library, looking for a creature, putting it directly into play with a bonus. I think it has counters.
Yes, it gets
on
counters,
So it's, again, something that basically requires something from your opponent to take it away.
It's effectively your opponent's getting a really good effect or card or something for doing nothing each turn, which you're now competing against their regular play plus that.
Right. So this end step Vendilion Clique, it looks like, here's that Ancestral Recall that we were talking about. If Sia doesn't have an answer, whether it's a counterspell, maybe he has like a Force of Will potentially, or removal, this does threaten to take the initiative for Eric.
Notably.
So let's see. It looks like we're
He's only got the white-red mana open as well.
Right. So it
gotta
does
have
look
a
like
removal.
we're taking something out of Sia's hand, and honestly, I suspect that if Eric doesn't see something that can remove the Vendilion Click now, he's just going to leave his hand as is because he doesn't want to potentially give him
something to take it away. Yeah.
And so we see no instant speed removal that can. I don't believe Pyrokinesis is instant, from what I recall. I could be wrong. Something I can look up on the fly here. Oh wait, yeah, do you have it?
We have the lists over here.
It is an instant.
It is an instant.
But it does require another red card to be exiled, and
he does not have one.
That.
Yeah.
So, barring Eric looking at his hand and thinking that he has something else that would be good to remove one of these cards, I think we might just leave them as is. The Teferi can bounce.
Yeah.
But again,
then he can play it again.
Right, and on Eric's turn, if he is able to untap and have a removal spell for the Dreadhorde Arcanist, and now he's in the position of taking the initiative and keeping it.
Yeah. So this will be dependent on what Eric has as well, too, obviously.
Yeah, at this point, Eric's certainly considering the cards in his hand as well as what he might draw off the top of his deck to determine whether it even makes sense to take any of these cards.
Yep.
But having the knowledge of what's in Sia's hand is going to be critical for how he plays the rest of this game out.
Yeah. Notably, Sia's hit the...
So he does take the Teferi Time Raveler.
Yeah,
which is certainly a powerful card.
Yeah.
But now
these decks do like to play a lot of instant speed.
That's true. It may kind of wreck Eric's plans otherwise, but that gives Sia a chance to draw something like a Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile, Lightning Bolts.
Yep. And the initiative has transferred. That is huge.
Yeah. It looks like he was successful in taking the initiative, so we're going to see Eric.
If he can get rid of that Arcanist now, that will swing this match
pretty heavily, because we did not see any creatures in Sia's hand.
Notably, I don't know if this is on purpose, but they've chosen dice the color of their shirts. So, so maybe they're being really kind to us, and we know who's who.
That's a good way to identify that. Yeah.
Probably accidental, but thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm very curious what the follow-up is going to be here.
Yeah, I'm feeling if there's a way to get rid of this Arcanist,
that might put the game away.
That definitely will push this in air. After Sia started with after Sia started with a command strip gave up. You want to go put that back up over here? Thanks. Surprise.
Surprise child.
Yeah, Sia got the 7-pointer of the recall off, plus the initiative out.
Yeah.
And
Does it just stick to the thing?
you have to push it hard onto it, but make it even with this.
It's a command strip.
It's a command strip. You have to push against it. All right. Tom's figuring that out. Look like this way.
So we are going to be separately tracking their progression through the dungeon, which is, I think, good to have. And then we're just going to use that little dry race token to mark who has the initiative between the two players, so a good way to indicate that. This is a newer card, Halo Forager, which is like kind of like a Snapcaster Mage, but can actually take cards from your opponent's graveyard, which I think is not typically used. But looks like we're actually having him cast.
Yeah, this
Sia's
is really
Recall.
cool.
That is awesome. So yeah, if you're familiar with Snapcaster Mage, that can give something in your own graveyard flashback. If you're familiar with Dire Fleet Daredevil, that can give something, take something from your opponent's graveyard and cast it. And Halo Forager can kind of do both.
There we go.
Right. So Eric knew about that mental misstep.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was figured, let's just exile it. This prevents.
You want to do something anyway. You get it out of his hand, and that'll prevent him from using it against something else later.
Sure. And I guess if he didn't have a removal spell for the Dreadhorde Arcanist, removing that makes sure that Sia can't recast
it off of the Arcanist,
so
which is
even though it got countered, maybe definitely worth it.
Yeah.
All right. So sleight of
hand coming in.
All right. So if he has a way to kill the Halo Forager, then we're kind of back to where we were, which was the initiative bouncing back and forth between the players. But it does look like he is searching.
Yeah, the Serum Vision's there.
I mean, again, I don't know exactly what Sia had in his hand, but I think I would have been tempted to start with the Serum Visions.
Yeah.
Because then that can allow you to scry 2 cards to the bottom if you know that they're not hits, and then follow up with the Slight.
Yeah.
And then hopefully hit that removal spell that I assume he's trying to go for here. Or actually,
he could also attack with the.
Well, he still has that Pyrokinesis, so as long as any red card is in his hand, he can actually.
He would have had to. He would have had to draw that this last turn though, right? Because we had the Cleek, which showed that he didn't have one the turn before.
Well, we knew that he didn't draw it off of getting time,
but he could have gotten one off of the.
Right, but
the
killing
here,
2 creatures here is
very
that
nice.
much better.
Yeah.
I think even though he lost that initiative for 1 turn.
That's 1 mana being tapped and untapped.
So, yeah, I think at this point, Sia's just by his body language, I assume that he doesn't have an immediate answer. Oh, it does look like he is.
There you go. Okay. He does have the red.
Exiling. I think that's a strangle, maybe? Question mark.
Maybe that's a promo art for it.
Not one that I'm.
There is a strangle in the deck list, so that looks like it may be that.
It looked like a 1 red mana something. So. All right, so I'm gonna while we're watching here, I'm going to bring up Twitch, and if there's a Twitch chat, try to. We got Pat B. What up, homies? This is sick. Thank you. Are the deck lists somewhere to see afterwards?
Yep, we do have
like
the deck list. What we're gonna do is we're gonna post the deck list up between rounds.
Awesome.
Or between matches, even we can put it up there for a little bit, so everyone can take a look at them.
Ooh.
And then I believe we have all of the deck lists on Moxfield, which we can post afterwards, so that people can. We do. Frank's confirmed, so everyone can take a look at the deck lists and see if you want to get into the format or make one of these types of decks to play yourself.
And heck, any cards that you want to buy, go to enterthebattlefield.ca to pick up your cards.
Oh, and he says he doesn't work here. Professional.
All right, I'm gonna see if there is a promo.
I think that had to have been Strangle.
Yes, that was a Strangle promo.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, confirmed. So we were talking earlier about maybe this match coming down to who resolves the Ancestral Recall the most, and Sia didn't resolve Ancestral Recall again, but effectively did because he exiled, I think, a full 7 cards to Treasure Cruise. And drew 3, and again that Pyrokinesis taking all of the creatures off of Eric's board, so he can't take the initiative back this turn unless he has a haste threat, which I don't. Actually, he does, I believe, in Ragavan.
Yeah.
There is a chance that
you're
he
playing
could
red.
Dash a Ragavan.
You are
to
playing
steal it back.
Ragavan.
But otherwise, yeah, we're not going to be seeing anything. Well, Baral and Karizev, I guess he could do something there as well to get the Ragavan token. And we might have missed it. I'm not sure what that little token on the board is supposed to be. If that's a clue or treasure, perhaps. I'm unsure on that. So we got a Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is seeing Solitude, Monastery Mentor, and Thought Scour.
Yeah.
And again, like.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that's a treasure. He's putting it down by his land.
Right. So, just going back to what we spoke about earlier in terms of like card advantage, like Thoughtseize, I feel like in these types of matches, good if you can use it early to disrupt something critical, but like
later in the game you're drawing it and you're giving up one of your cards for
a mana and a card for basically something that you're not dealing with the board, right? Like again, the initiative being huge here.
Yeah, that's in your starting hand. You definitely want it.
It sucks to draw it later.
Yeah, you don't want it turn 7.
It is a treasure. Confirmed. All right, awesome. I'm not sure how it was created, but it's the step of the dungeon. That's why. Because Sia did not go the route where the opponent loses 5 life, which is good. When you're really on the aggression plan. But he went the down the other side, which, to be honest, I'm not intimately familiar with what all the steps of the dungeon do.
Adam just
Do you
likes
have an
going in for
initiative
5.
card handy that I could? Do we have an initiative token? Yeah, okay.
We got a
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
We got an ancestral,
I will look.
lesser good ancestral coming in as well too on the side
Ancestral
of,
vision. Yeah, just
Eric
all
there.
Turns out ancestral recall in all of its forms,
Is good.
You will play it. It's pretty good, though.
Everyone just calls Treasure Cruise Recall
Right.
anyway in Pioneer, for example.
So, I love me an ancestral vision. I have to feel like it's a bit too slow in this format nowadays. And again, kind of like with Thoughtseize, you're playing this and now you're waiting maybe 4 turns
I
to
think
do something with it.
In certain matchups, it'll be fine.
If you get it early again, right?
Yeah, you're relying on that, but losing a card for some advantage 4 turns from now, not exactly what you're looking to do.
Yeah, tough sell. So yeah, just going down the right-hand side of this initiative track or the Undercity. So last turn, Sia was in the stash, which gives you the treasure token, how he got that token. And now he's in the catacombs, which gives you a 4/1 black skeleton creature token with menace.
Yeah.
So again, another threat.
Very relevant right now because to stop the initiative train from continuing, you now have 2 threats you have to get rid of.
Yeah. So, and it already looks like Eric is struggling to deal with the 1 creature that he had.
And you're not really going to be putting out 2 creatures anytime soon to block that thing, so you need a removal spell or that's Comet.
So with those of you unfamiliar with this card, this was a release in the recent-ish
Unstable.
Unfinity.
Is that
Unfinity.
Is it Unfinity? Unfinity is correct. Yes, that's the one.
And this card is bananas. It is semi-random. You 0 this Planeswalker, and then you roll a 6-sided die, and depending on your result, you get a different effect. So let's see what Sia rolls here. It looks like this may be happening off-screen. So depending on what the result is, he might get, it looks like we're going for 2 squirrels. Yeah, so Looks like you rolled a 1 or a 2, so we should see Comet going up to 7 loyalty. Okay, maybe we'll see him adjust the loyalty in a moment here. How do we call Rob over?
I think Comet needs. Oh, we got a scoop anyway. So there we go. Yeah, we're fine.
All right.
That one was way beyond recovering from.
So, again, if we go back to the early game, it was the White Plume adventure resolving that really set the tone for the rest of what we saw.
Yeah, being able to fire off your points in Canlander and your opponent not having them also big swing generally in the format. Had that recall maybe resolved when it was played on Eric's side as well instead of being countered. Who knows? Maybe you can crawl back into it, but that was massive card advantage between Treasure Cruise and recall.
Yeah. So going into the game, obviously, if we won't be seeing any change of deck because that's not how Canadian Highlander
no
works.
sideboarding.
So it's kind of nice because you just shuffle up and get right back into it.
Shuffling is something you do enough of in this format anyway, so.
Yeah, and so last game, Sia was on the play, and now we're going to see Eric on the play, having lost game 1. I would assume anyway. Don't think you often see
big
people
advantage
taking the draw.
in this format as it is in most. Lots of 1-man. Like if you can start the game off with Ragavan out or getting the White Plume out first or so on and so forth, just puts you way ahead of your opponent. So.
Just if you want to update, Freya's up 1-0 and Dan's up 1-0, and Nathan's match still on game 1.
Okay. So I guess
bracket update.
Bracket update. So Freya, who is on medium red, versus David on Jund aggro. It sounds like Freya is up 1-0. And sorry, Dan, thank you.
Dan is up 1-0.
Dan is up. So Dan versus Cameron. Dan being on Bant Paradox Academy. Cameron being on Flash Spellseeker. Dan is up.
And then game 1 still between Nathan and Rick.
On the nearer match. Not a mirror
nearer
match.
Nearer match. That's it. Yeah.
So Yeah, I'll be here all day, folks.
If you need dad jokes, Adam is the person to go to.
Yep, as a dad, I am contractually obligated.
Adam has enough children that his family is in zone defense, not on man-to-man. So
You make it sound like I'm
no, they're all great kids.
degenerates.
They're all great kids.
And so, you know what? I can't recall which of the two gentlemen over there, which one was Dan and which one was Cameron. They both have
They look
longer hair and glasses. But one of them said that they are fairly heavily disfavored against the other. So maybe we're seeing that match go the way that it was kind of predicted ahead of time. But those two gentlemen actually sounding like they're testing partners and played a lot against each other. So it's kind of funny that they got matched up. Also,
a few of these matchups, a couple of people who play test against each other ended up against each other.
Nathan and Rick playing a lot of games.
I think Sia was really happy he didn't end up against Rick because they were play testing and it wasn't going so well for Sia. But this game went a lot better for him.
Yeah, it did.
They could meet in the finals.
Who knows? They could. They are on opposite sides of the bracket, correct?
They are.
Yeah. For this, let's go back to the footage. So for this game, with Eric being on the play, what do you think he's going to be looking for in his opening 7?
You're obviously if you could hit Ragavan, that's a good DRC early really helps too. Can kind of filter your hand into the state you want it to be in. If I'm playing the match, I think those are the 2 cards that I want out there immediately.
Right.
Neither of these decks are really playing ramp, so you're not going to see any of the kind of 3 mana.
Except for Ragavan.
What isn't Ragavan?
So just for the folks at home, the Ragavan count for this event is 4.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah. So Grixis and Jeskai that we're seeing on stream here, and then actually the other.
Oh, we got a probe.
The other match pairing is the other Ragavan.
We like the probe. This gives us all the information.
Yeah. So let's see what was kept. We have Otawara on the field.
Looks like Brazen Borrower.
Brazen Borrower, Flooded Strand, Dress Down, and Drowned in the Lock. Drowned in the Lock?
Is that Drowned in the Lock? I think it is.
Drowned in the Lock.
Yeah, Drowned in the Lock. Yeah. Great card. Hard to find. That card's been scooped up everywhere.
Yeah, and for the folks at home that are seeing Eric's hand and wondering, well, hey, is that Brazen Borrower just literally printed? Yes. So the way that we run events here, because Highlander does play a lot of powerful cards, a lot of cards that a lot of people don't own personally, like Moxen or Black Lotus. To make it easier for folks to get into the format and feel welcome to play, we do play with a 10 proxy allowance or limit, and so you can, however you feel. I use a lot of those double-face placeholder cards and just use a Sharpie.
I believe that may also be
the Wasteland?
A proxy on.
Yes.
On
and the library.
The library as
Library
well.
of Alexandria also turns out is a proxy, which is actually huge that Eric had the Wasteland for, or else I think Sia was going to take over the game.
Yeah, that could have been ugly.
But anyway, so yeah, 10 proxy limit essentially allows people to play a lot more variety of decks that they would otherwise be able to play.
Yeah, you'd have to own all the Power 9 and so on and so forth, and expecting players to come in with that available, not necessarily realistic. So we would rather have people out and playing the format that we all love than kind of borrowing a bunch of decks behind the 5-figure requirement for some of these cards' purchase prices.
Exactly.
That being said, if you do want to buy any of them, we do have them available at battlefield.ca.
Chris, as one of the owners of the store, can certainly talk to you about making a deal for a Black Lotus or some other crazy card.
You can call me on my cell phone.
All right. So we did get an update from our bracket, which we can see on the game. We don't have to flip back to the bracket. But Dan over Cameron. So Dan on Bant Paradox winning 2-0. So I think that was probably the favored person in that matchup based on what I was hearing before from those folks.
We got Dreadhorde Arcanist again. Great card in this. Has so many 1-mana spells that you can cast off of it.
Yeah, and he does have something in the graveyard at least to get a bit of value with the Cataxian Probe, right? Like attacking, drawing a card, not a bad deal.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine.
All right. We also have an update from the Reanimator Mirror match between Nathan and Rick. Nathan is up 1-0. And again, that's Nathan is on Grixis Reanimator versus Rick on Esper.
Reanimator, yeah. So we
yeah.
got a fetch pulling out a C.
You see? Do you
I
see?
see. We all see. Underground C.
For icy. Card them. You intend. Sorry, if you hear me mumbling to myself, it's probably because I am
Adam's on chat duty over
looking
here.
at chat, and apparently I can't just read with my brain. I need to read with my mouth. Yeah, Gobison Pie saying even with 10 proxies, my 3 to 4 color piles would still be unaffordable for me. Yeah, it's if you want to play a lot of fetch lands, a lot of duels, a lot of even things like shocks, like the price of a deck certainly does go up pretty quick, but
there are tons of decks you can play where that doesn't necessarily happen. You also kind of need to come to some sort of balance as well too, where we are still playing Magic, I guess, and having some magical cards is
I'm all for people proxying decks while they're trying to figure out what they want to play and stuff.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Part of me also likes to see some amount of real cards on the table and not just like a fully 100% proxy deck. That's controversial hot take opinion in the middle of round one.
It's a whole major can of worms, and we kind of arrived at some compromise with all of our players. And to be honest, we usually have say 16, 18 players coming out to our monthly, and we allow 10 proxies, and almost I'd say our average number of proxies is approximately 3 for the deck. So most people are playing their cards and fairly invested. Yeah.
So we have an update for one of our other rounds. Perhaps crowd favorite David Vance knocked out of the tournament.
Oh, poor Dave.
2-0 by Freya. So Freya is on medium red. I'm curious how many times we saw Blank Goblin, the sticker card, played in that first match.
This does mean that we might get
What's
guacamole on stream. I need to be able to yell "Holy guacamole!" It has to happen before the end of the day.
Holy guacamole! That's going to be like the equivalent of our lightning helix moment.
That's it. If you're a baseball umpire, that's you getting to do the safe he bubbled the ball or safe off the bag call, which are notoriously the best. That's my John Madden call for the day, where you got to do some totally unrelated reference that maybe 10% of people will understand.
Right. All right. So going back to the game here, missed a little bit, but I think what had happened was we had a Brazen Boar Petty Theft the Dreadhorde Arcanist back to Sia's hand, and then Sia followed up with a Ledger Shredder,
which got drowned,
and that is dead now. So board is being kept pretty clear. I actually think that this Brazen Boar being in the adventure zone is pretty critical as just like effectively an extra card that that's going to be.
Yeah, we effectively had
at flash speed.
4 spells in the bin for each player, 3 land on the field, and you got that extra card sitting out there.
And even though the Dreadhorde Arcanist is not permanently taken care of, that tempo play can really set.
It's going to be a couple turns before before that card can actually do anything.
Right. All right. And so I'm not sure if this will come up, but Eric looks like he just drew a Daze.
Ooh.
So Daze being a counter spell that you can cast for free by returning an island to your hand, but it's effectively a force spike requiring the opponent to pay 1 additional mana, or the spell is countered. I could foresee maybe Sia trying to slam something at some point and getting caught out by that pretty good.
Even catchings, like a lot of times they'll play like a 2-mana creature and then a 1-mana spell or something, and you can at least get that. Yeah, that's kind of what I was figuring around here.
It does nothing against this Dreadhorde Arcanist.
No.
Being played with the 1-mana up, and I expect we'll see the Brazen Boar come down. Yeah. And resolves. All right. But Eric has to deal with that Dreadhorde Arcanist, or else if it attacks, it's going to take out the Brazen Boar.
Yeah, that's it.
It looks like a flame
slash in the bin,
Daze is brutal sometimes from Clockwork Spider in the chat. Yes,
Indeed, it is.
Yeah, just again, I feel like it's one of those cards that loses a bit of value as the game goes along. Like really good early turns if you play a threat and can protect it with the Daze, or they try to play their own threat. And
once they're on 5-6 mana, it's really tougher.
Yeah, it almost feels like a bit of a dead draw. Sorry? Oh, okay. Bracket update. So Nathan and
The
Rick,
Reanimator Mirror.
the Reanimator Nearer match. Sounds like Rick has taken game 2, and so they're going to a game 3. So yeah, aside from this match and the Reanimator Mirror match, everything is tied up with a bow. All the matches sorted in terms of who's moving on to the next round.
Put a dress down.
Looks like we're just maybe using this to draw a card and see what happens. Oh wait, no. Dress down removes the ability, so he will not be able to attack and flash back
use
the flame slash.
yeah.
Nice. That's a good use of that card.
That's big. Protects the borrower.
And I think based on what it looks like we're doing here, I think that Sia had passed his first main phase without having done anything, and so like if he was planning on casting anything post combat main phase, and that card had some ability, it also removed that ability as well.
Yep.
So maybe some extra value. Unclear at this point whether that's actually the case. Imagine we'll see a Xander's Lounge come into play tapped here, just because it doesn't look like he needs the second mana right at this moment, and having that tri-land.
Yeah,
pretty
it's
nice.
really helpful.
There we go. Awesome.
This is close.
Yeah. For anyone just joining us now, thanks again. This is the top 8 invitational of the series of Canlander monthly events held at Enter the Battlefield in Newmarket, Ontario, Canada. We got some hot mid-range on mid-range action for everyone.
That's my favorite.
Just so many decision points.
If you are in the area again, feel free to come in. We run the monthly event the last Saturday of each month, barring there being a pre-release that weekend or anything. But you can follow all of our socials to know when the next one is coming up. They are all ETB Canada.
And follow us
as
on
well.
Twitch.
Follow us on Twitch.
And subscribe
Also
on
ETB
YouTube.
Canada. Oh yeah, that's right. We have Frank over here on the ones and twos.
And TikTok.
And he spends lots of time editing videos, and we stream every Wednesday. So if you're loving this content, there's Canlander content as well as other games that we play in the store. Like we have a Yu-Gi-Oh community. There's a Yu-Gi-Oh pre-release going on right now for the new set. We got Pokemon events, and Lorcana is releasing in August, and we are going to be running weekly drafts and constructed events for that as well too when it comes out. But there's just a little pitch for the future while they shuffle cards.
Yeah. Clockwork Spider saying, sadly, I live on the other side of the big waters. Well, let me tell you, even if you live in a totally different country, I believe you can have cards ordered and delivered to you from enterthebattlefield.ca. So check out the online store here. Again, I am not an employee. I just play one on stream.
He's being paid based on the number of times he does that pitch. No. No, we appreciate everyone that comes out. A lot of our Canlander community, including a bunch of the players here, drive a couple of hours just to come in to play the events. Obviously, it's a bit of a niche format, unfortunately, but we love it here, and we're doing absolutely everything we can to bring it to the players and to you watching us.
Yep. All right, so there was some shuffling. We put a card on top,
Which
I believe,
was the
with
Drown
a
in the Loch
Mystic
again.
Sanctuary.
Yep.
So Eric wanting to draw a potential counter spell or removal, I assume, for that Dreadhorde.
Yeah, the
Arcanist.
dual use for it's really, really nice.
And I'm guessing that we're going to see this Dreadhorde Arcanist take out the Brazen Borrow with the Flame Slash.
For sure.
Yeah, so that's some really good value for Sia. This Dreadhorde Arcanist has been putting in work this game and last game. Unsung hero.
That's it. I feel like
the deck.
I feel like that card, sometimes you play it and you're like, oh, it's not really doing, if this resolves, this could be extremely problematic.
So, again, unfortunately, that Daze
is not going to do it.
Doing anything for Eric.
Notably, I don't know if there's any sort of edict effect.
He does.
He
does have a Sheoldred's Edict.
Okay.
So there is but he's...
You also have to get rid of the Arcanist first.
Which he has the removal spell for on top of his deck. But then again, that's what he's drawing, so Sheoldred's Edict might be the next card on top.
And neither of these players are playing any tutors to find a specific answer, notably, as well, right?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
If, as close as we come is really just card draw.
Yeah.
Which is good, certainly, but... and I believe that Sia made the correct play of picking his opponent to gain to have the true name gain protection from.
Yeah, that is a good choice.
Yeah.
Almost always.
Almost always. Okay. So we see an upkeep, Drown in the Lock.
After a young peasy.
Yep. So we're gonna make a elemental token. And
Can you produce enough tokens that maybe you could win a race?
possibly.
Sia's still got a mitt full of cards though, so.
Yeah, Eric has a good handful as well. We know one of them being the Daze, and we might actually probably just see the Daze cast as a way to generate another token and pick up the Mystic Sanctuary, which can, again, rebuy
then
another
get you
spell
another
later.
spell, yeah.
Yeah, even though I don't think the Daze is going to really disrupt Sia.
No,
from
and
doing
Sia's
what he
putting
wants.
land down every turn still as well too. Like there's just 7 land. It's
something
tough
to be said though for Sia having drawn and played so many lands. Like
that was close.
Oh,
that's so close.
So I think he has to cast the Daze here anyway, just to put the token on the board.
Yeah, I
to
think
have
so.
something on the board.
Yeah.
After this resolves, but that is a huge pyrokinesis.
Wow, that land ended up being extremely valuable.
And Eric is looking pretty composed right now. If that was me, I would be like audibly groaning.
That is massive.
Okay. So finds another use for the Daze, which is to exile it to Force of Negation, allowing him to cast the. To counter the pyrokinesis.
Massive.
Yeah.
I like that spell resolves, and there we go. We got a race now.
Yeah.
And Eric is in the lead, notably 2-turn clock there. Ooh,
that is another really good pickup for Eric. This is not only going to give him another elemental, but 3 more cards.
Yeah.
Means that it's that much more likely you can find more spells
to make more elementals,
tokens.
maybe take it. It's still 4 mana open.
That is the way.
That's blue magic.
Dueling Force of Negation.
Blue magic.
So unfortunately, not going to be able to get the.
Still a
3
2-turn
cards,
clock though.
But still has some stuff going on. Yeah.
Sia looks like he's top decking too.
Yeah. No, he has 1 card. In hand.
1 card there.
Yeah, it looked like another land, perhaps though.
Does not need any more of those.
So based on the board state and the fact that Eric has so many more points of power coming through, and I don't think he can effectively race. Yeah, we see the true name kept on defense.
Yeah.
Which will probably keep back most of what Eric has. Maybe he'll attack him with the
3 tokens. Yeah.
And get 1 eaten. And
you need the pyromancer.
Yeah, you
just
don't want
keep
to lose
producing
that.
the value. Yeah.
So consider could have drawn Eric maybe another spell, but that was countered. But even still,
this
he
is
gets
still
the value.
a huge advantage.
Yeah, and decides to get in for 2 and losing a token.
Yeah, when you're sitting there with your true name as your blocker.
Yeah.
That is big.
Good.
Oh wow.
So removing the pyromancer means that the number of tokens that Eric has is probably going to stay where it is, and I think now that probably means he's not going to attack anymore.
Yeah, you can't. You're not going to do that just to chip in 2 damage, then 1 damage.
Unless
you
have
like a
to
bolt or
burn
something
him.
like that. Yeah.
Which, depending on what Eric has in hand and what he's thinking about, he might. I don't think he's in a rush to go for that kind of a play, right?
No, yeah. Yeah, there you go, holding it back.
But you could foresee,
Yeah, your opponent's low on resources as well, too.
Yeah.
You have the advantage at the moment. I don't think, putting yourself into a position where you maybe give up your board state. Say you chump away all those tokens, and then all of a sudden a white plume comes out on the other side or something.
Yeah,
you're
in
just
big trouble.
Yeah.
But do you not attack and just give Sia that much
I guess
more
that's
time
true.
to draw
He puts down
something,
1 or
right?
2 more creatures, and then now you do draw a bolt, and you're not in lethal range,
exactly.
right? So.
So if I'm looking at Eric's deck, in terms of ways that he can get that burst damage to finish off Sia,
that's Sia's deck.
Yeah. So
Eric's
even something like Shieldred the Apocalypse,
that would be
very
huge.
helpful. Orcish Bowmasters can deal a bit of damage.
Bolt, obviously.
Bolt, Chain Lightning, Forked Bolt can do a bit of damage. Kolaghan's Command, he has a lot of
sources
ways
for it.
to deal damage.
We got a DRC down now as well. Is that one a 3/3? It looks like it is. Yeah. No?
I think he...
Sorcery.
I see a creature, sorcery, instant, and land. Okay.
Yeah, I think we have it, yeah. Ooh, counterspell.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, 'cause
that would have,
that 3/3 like ruins.
and it also allows you
clock.
anything you draw to kind of help fix your.
That is not what you want to see in these mid-range mirror matches.
No. Very close still, though.
Yeah. But
Sia
okay,
deciding it's time
this
to
is
go. That says something right there.
Yeah, if you're Eric and you see your opponent attacking with
Yeah,
their
that
true
does
name
not make you
nemesis,
feel good.
that means you're kind of that's like the equivalent of.
Do we have like a Fury or something like that, maybe?
What is that card?
It was a removal on one spell,
What is
so it took out one token.
I have no idea what that card is.
Red instant.
It's not the Unholy Heat, right? No.
Oh no, that was an old border frame on that one. I don't. It's one word short.
Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong. Oh,
A
is
braid?
that a braid?
No, that's not a braid, is it?
It might be from one of the commander decks, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot
Yeah.
they had the old border printing of it. I believe that probably is
Oh,
it.
and then yeah. So that was interesting that he attacked in with the true name nemesis, and then just had the removal.
It
spell
was
on
a
the
braid,
back.
yeah.
On the
Is
on
that
Eric's turn.
Hull Breacher there?
Yeah. I think it's the abrade from the Mishra deck from the Brothers War release.
That is the Unholy Heat. That
Yeah,
was from the RCQ qualifiers, I believe, or at the RCQ.
So Eric needs to top deck big right now, or else I think we might be seeing Sia move on. That is Fury. Okay,
Oh, Fury is
Okay.
massive.
takes out the two guys,
Ooh,
and puts him to 2.
wow.
And he has a red card in his hand, but it's not a burn spell, or else I think we would have just seen that.
Yeah, that would have gotten
Tossed
fired
out
off right
there.
there. Not gonna. That's it. We're gonna game 3.
Dang.
Is
Okay.
it? Oh no. No.
No?
Eric won the first game as well too, didn't he?
No. Sia,
Oh no,
Sia
Sia
won the
took it.
first
That's
game.
right. Yeah. He
with
got the white
initiative.
plume out with the initiative. Yeah. So it is 1-1.
Did you win? You're out. Okay.
Oh, Rick.
An update from one of the players themselves. Highlander community favorite Rick has been knocked out by Nathan in the
The Vance
mirror
brothers.
match.
What happened?
Both Vance brothers.
What happened?
Both Vance brothers choke completely.
I'll talk about it, but turn 1 Blood Moon.
Oh.
1 Blood Moon.
There-
Both games? Both games?
No, but
Just one game.
Yeah, but like
There's gonna be some turmoil at dinner in the Vance household tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You want a third? I can watch.
A third? Do we have another?
We don't have another microphone, but if you wanna,
Can
we'll
we
we'll
kinda
swap
hack
you
it?
boys in between
Yeah,
rounds.
yeah.
We'll get some guest appearances.
Guest appearances?
After this round. Maybe we can have Rick or Dave come up here and explain why they're bad.
Yeah. We do it a little differently here. We don't interview the winners. We're going to interview the losers of all the rounds.
Streams go usually. They have to learn playing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
We'll have some entertainment for you then. If anyone likes degenerate magic, Rick is the perfect person to ask questions to, because Rick's favorite card in Magic is High Tide. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know Rick, whether through the Discord, like the Canlander Discord community, or in store here at Enter the Battlefield, in Canlander, he plays basically something different almost every week.
Yes.
I think for every event that we've held for the monthlies, he's played something different. I've seen him play High Tide. I've seen him play Black-White, like discard creatures.
A little
like
bit of everything.
Ravenous Rats type things. Allurin is a thing that he plays. He goes all over the place.
We
and
have a
it's great.
thing, which is everyone wants to know what deck Rick's on, and he comes in, and then people will say, what deck is Rick on? And the answer is just yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think that you often see that even for people that are into like modern or into, standard, when standard was popular and played a lot, Pioneer, I guess. Like you have people that really want to get deep into one deck and know it like the back of their hand, and then people that will play something different every week and get that variety.
Yeah, we see that. So Pioneer is massive at our store. We have huge turnout every week for that as well too, and we have both types of players. So I have played Rakdos midrange every single day. My Canlander deck is a Mardu midrange, all my favorite cards. I play one way, and I just try to play it as well as I can. Rick, on the other hand, is a good player, plays a lot of different archetypes, but loves the spice of just kind of mixing up the
Mix it
flavor
up.
every week.
You know, the variety is the spice of life.
Yeah, Dave made a big mistake. I was telling him that he
Missing the one
No,
point?
no, he needs to play strip mine. Dave is notorious for when he's not trying to strip block you. He's not playing a strip block deck. He will still strip block you. The number of games I've played against Dave that go like Wasteland, Strip Mine, Ragavan, Ren and 6 is
Yeah.
numerous, and I told him he should just go on that, roll the dice with it, and
This may be totally anecdotal, but I feel like Dave is plus 50% Ragavan in opening hand
yeah.
across
Oh,
all games.
easily,
Like every
easily.
game that he has had the card in his deck, which I think probably since acquiring his Ragavan, it has been in every deck he has
he's ever
played.
played,
Like I don't
yeah,
think
yeah,
he's
yeah.
ever without Ragavan in his deck. The number of times he plays turn 1 Ragavan is astounding. Yeah, and leads to obviously some very busted starts, if not removed.
I can't even get upset because I'm playing it too.
Right,
so,
you're
like,
playing
it's
it
just
too.
one of those things. But surprising, the Vance boys are done right away. But
Yeah. So hello again, back to us here at the booth. We're just waiting for to.
I believe we
resolve
had
mulligans
a
and-
quick
and
bathroom
start
break.
up. Oh, little B break.
That was it. That game was so close that
Apparently
got one of them a little nervous.
According to Frank, you know, stress P.
Stress
That-
P,
that-
that's it.
Maybe one of these players had.
We had a
stress
couple of little
urinate.
technical glitches while we were getting things going. One of the computers decided to fight Frank, so he's getting a little nervous. But that's why we were 13 minutes late. But
Thankfully, our music situation is addressed, and Warhammer players in the back room helping to generate some noise so
Noise,
that
yeah.
the players in the feature match area can't hear my rambunctiousness.
that's it.
Yeah.
Spotify is a huge part of this presentation, even though you don't hear it.
Also,
drowning out the noise.
Not a sponsor.
Not sponsored, but I do love them,
Yeah.
so I will mention them.
Yeah. So, game 3, Eric won the last one. Sia's on the play. You know what I want to see?
What do you want to see?
I want to see a good old-fashioned Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Sculptor? Yeah. You know what?
Uh,
Why don't we have a game full of the classics? How about that?
you know what? Both of the players actually running Jace the Mind Sculptor. Why don't we have a Jace face off?
Jace off?
Jace off.
I like it.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe even play Vryn's Prodigy out. He's in there too. All the different forms of Jace.
So yeah, Eric is playing Jace Vryn's Prodigy, so going again a bit heavier on those ways to flashback spells. Again, probably because he wants to cast things like Ancestral Recall multiple times, if at all possible. Actually, that might be another thing. I think maybe it's time for Eric to resolve a draw 3 because he
That would be
tried.
nice,
he
yeah.
tried with the Treasure Cruise last game, got countered. He still ended
Yep.
up winning, but you know, Sia got to draw 3 twice in the first game, if I recall right.
We've seen all the points cards be used as well too, except for Mana Drain, I believe.
Yeah, that could also be a
A huge swing.
big swing. Yeah, imagine, you know, you casting like Teferi Time Raveler, your opponent, you know, mana draining that, and then following that up with like Shieldred plus
Something.
Yeah, you're gonna be in a world of hurt pretty quick. Also, the One Ring. We haven't actually
seen it yet.
We haven't seen any of the
Lord of the Rings
Lord
cards.
of the
yet.
Rings
We got
cards.
an Aragorn, King of Gondor in Sio's list here.
To be fair, I think Sia is the only one playing any cards from the newest release, which is pretty cool. Lots of really interesting cards, I think, for the format. The One Ring being probably one of the most impactful to Highlander. Oh, and we're seeing Spell Pierce accidentally. I think that's going to result in a
reshuffle. Yeah.
That's not a big deal.
I tried my best to get Lord of the Rings cards on here. Last month just short
Yeah.
with Nazgul Reanimator.
Yeah,
My
what-
opponent was reading every single card I played because why would anyone ever play these cards? But it was that was close. Dave ended up taking it though.
So yeah, for the folks at home, while we're resolving mulligans here, why don't you just quickly run through a little bit of the flavor of this deck that you ran recently?
Okay, so the Lord of the Rings set came out. I love Lord of the Rings.
Who doesn't?
And I just decided, you know what? Why don't we make a Lord of the Rings themed Highlander deck, and why not play all the Nazgul? So we basically play a bunch of mana ramp so that you can get Nazgul out turn 1, running Moxen, Dark Ritual, so on and so forth, with a Reanimator package in there. A couple of the Reanimator staples like Grizzlebrand, so on and so forth. But Witch King of Angmar, so on and so forth. I got to turn 1 Nazgul, turn 2 Nazgul a couple of times, and when you have like 5-4 or 4-5, 3-4 coming in at you,
Pretty good.
turn 2 and 3, it's
Pretty good.
pretty nasty. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So we talked about, ooh,
Ooh,
okay.
okay.
Oh, okay. So a series of big plays. See us starting off with Ragavan,
Oh,
which,
those are massive.
if unanswered, is just insane. Like being able to hit in, generate mana,
Ramp,
and
take their
potentially get cards
yeah.
is absolutely huge. Like such a crazy turn 1 play. And then Eric, swinging back with the removal spell to
Having
take care
the
of it.
answer there is
Yep. And
vital.
it would have just been the chef's kiss if Sia had a way like
To counter
mental
it,
misstep
oh.
to counter that, which we have seen him play a couple times this match, but he did not have it. So
Force
Eric,
or something.
Eric's safe for now. Yeah, and if I was in Sia's position and if I had Force of Will and a blue card, I probably would counter the Flame Slash.
Oh, I know,
yeah,
absolutely,
like almost
absolutely.
certainly, right?
Yeah, the
Monkey is just
Ragavan's,
so good.
yeah, sticking there is like you're losing those cards, but you're gonna get cards from your opponent as well too to kind of make up that deficit.
I mean, the cards from the opponent bit is
You do get, but you can
sometimes
play
comes
them.
up.
Yeah. So you're not always going to do it, but it can sort of claw you back in.
the
a
mana
little
ramp,
bit.
though,
Yeah, the mana
is
ramp is
crazy.
huge. Yeah.
So that is, I think, the Iganjo channel end from
Yep.
the more recent Kamigawa set, followed up by Mercurial Spelldancer.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if we're going to see... Oh, and is that drawing 3 cards? We did see Eric resolve the draw 3. Nice.
There we go.
Okay, so I
Now
think
they've
we-
each drawn
we
3 off
got
that one time.
a game on our hands.
Oh, and the Chain Lightning.
And Chain Lightning. So this is a really good start for really both players, but I think coming away with that Ancestral is huge.
Yeah, you answered the Ragavan,
Answer the Mercurial Spelldancer.
answered the Spelldancer, and drew 3 cards to replenish. Like I think you're now firmly in the lead.
Yeah,
Oh,
and-
Duress to get something out of here too.
Clear the way for potentially what your follow-up looks like. Ooh. So Remand just kind of delays things.
No other black mana, so that'll
We can maybe see a
potentially,
follow-up Black Source, potentially.
yeah,
We'll see what
potentially delay that a turn at least.
I think we're going to see Brainstorm cast to try to find the...
Oh,
okay.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's
This
a good
is
one
when
too.
you're okay playing
Yes.
that card. Like,
turn 2,
yeah.
not a bad time. Or turn 3, sorry.
Turn 3, yeah. No land drop though, notably.
No, we missed a land drop.
Even after all those cards.
Yeah.
Got a Ponder here.
I'm a little, I don't know, I guess it is risky. It looked like Eric had a Brainstorm in his hand, so he could have Brainstorm trying to look for a black or
source,
blue land to
yeah.
recast the Duress or suspend the Ancestral Vision.
Yep.
But the risk of that is, of course, then if you don't find a land,
You've done nothing. and
you're in big
now
trouble.
another
You're
turn behind.
Brainstorm locked. You know what the next 2 cards are. They're not going to help you get ahead in that way. So maybe
Yep.
it is a bit safer to just suspend.
I think
things.
you've got to feel confident in your position there, even though you're stuck on the 2 lands. Like,
Yep.
You've
You're not in a rush.
dismantled your opponent's hand. You're not in a rush.
Yep.
You know you're going to cast the Duress again next turn
Oh.
anyway. Wow, just 3 removal
Yeah,
spells.
that is
Not a good hand.
not what you want to have.
I
I think
mean,
as Sia.
It does allow you time, right? So like your
Mm-hmm.
opponent's going to be playing some. If they play some threat, you have an answer, right? So it will at least maybe allow you, like, you draw your own recall, for example, right? And then this will prevent your opponent from building board advantage against you at least. But you have the vision in there that's going to come in and draw more cards.
But the fact that, again, now your opponent
Knows,
knows what you
yeah.
have.
They
he
can
knows,
play around
He
it.
knows you have damage-based
These-
removal
well,
spells.
yeah.
Like, so, if something comes up that you know that Sia can't deal with, like, he's going to be in big trouble. So one other thing that we saw in Eric's hand that I want to call out here, we haven't really talked about it to this point. Eric is playing Narset, which has the ability that if your opponent would draw anything past the first card in a turn,
They don't. Yeah.
And he also is playing things like Wheel of Fortune. I don't know if he's gone
The
too
Narset
much
wheel
deeper,
combo is
but
very
yeah,
nice.
effectively for those that don't know at home what this does, if you play,
Oh, that'll help.
Yeah, well, if you play Narset and then follow up with something like a Wheel of Fortune that like has all their players discard their hands and then draw 7 new cards, your opponent in that situation is only going to draw one card while
yeah.
you refill with 7, which is massive. And we did see
Fable
that,
of the Mirror Breaker
that card.
resolving is
Yeah.
very, very important here. It can fix Sia's hand or at least partially repair it by allowing you to discard up to 2 cards on the second mode and then draw 2 more. So chapter.
Yeah.
There we go.
And I suspect, based on how the board is and what Sia has going on, I wouldn't be surprised if, unless he, depending on what he draws for the next turn, he might ditch both of those removal spells to
yeah,
draw
I think
2
so.
new
Well,
cards.
the removal spells are not going to help you get back into
Right.
this game. You know your opponent's going to draw 3 cards in 2
Yeah.
turns.
You probably want
need
to play
cards.
something. Yeah.
So you're.
Oh, I think that's Jace the Mind Sculptor
Is it?
in his hand. Yeah.
He doesn't have the 4th.
He doesn't,
fourth
but he's
mana,
going to
though.
draw cards,
Yeah,
right? And actually, Jace bouncing that
Token
is like,
Yeah.
so beautiful. So beautiful. We might, you know,
There's an
we don't want to
Unholy
let
Heat
them.
in hand there, I believe, as well too, which could deal with the token.
I am kind of surprised that he didn't just remove that.
Yeah. Allowing.
If the plan is to kill it anyway, right? Like I see the value in like waiting till their turn if they have a
But you give
counter
them
spell,
another
but then,
card and
yeah,
more
they might have the
options.
counter spell now,
Yeah.
right? And I think you probably want to destroy the thing that makes the treasures on attack,
Yeah.
the Goblin Shaman token. So I would have I think tossed it out there.
Yeah, you knew you could do it at that
Yeah.
point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because like now, if Sia drew a counter spell,
So it worked out,
He didn't, but
yeah.
like that was risky. I think more risk than you needed.
Oh,
to.
another land. So Sia is light on cards, and we know what they do. Did he not pitch? Oh, he pitched
He
one.
pitched one.
Yeah, so he kept the Helix, it looks
Yeah.
like.
Which I think is fair. He knows that.
Yep. The 3
Eric
is
has
more
some
relevant than
walkers.
the 2, can target
Yep.
anything.
Oh, no, wait. Wasn't that a no? Flame Slash deals 4 though.
Oh, it does 4, yeah. The Helix can target anything, though, right?
Eric only has 2 walkers.
But
So
the Narset, for example, like it could be relevant,
Yes.
so on and so
Yeah.
forth, right? Like it.
Yep. It's very true. And
I
again,
prefer to have the 1 less damage, but the more
flexible.
flexibility.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
I don't know. I might have actually kept the Flame Slash only because being 1 mana potentially important in this match. But it looks like Eric missed another land drop. Again, he's in a pretty good position where he's not being under a lot of threat. Oh, that's gonna be so. So okay, this is Orcish Bowmasters,
Bowmaster,
new
yeah.
card from Lord of the Rings. When it enters play and when your opponents draw cards other than the first one each turn, you get to deal 1 damage to any target and you get to amass 1. So what we're gonna
For
see
each
here
of the cards.
for each of the cards. So we're
Yeah.
gonna see. Okay. So in response,
Once you got the Helix, yeah.
um,
There'll still be a token, though.
there will still be a token, but this kind of forced Sia to do
Use
the
it,
Lightning
yeah.
Helix, because if he didn't, then if the Orcish Bowmasters was still there when the Serum Visions resolved, then he would have been able to kill the reflection of Kiki Jiki.
Yes.
Oh no, that's not what
by
you're supposed to do
Jace.
with Jace the Mind Sculptor. No, no.
we got to see him. He's there. Look, he's there.
I mean, I get it, but that still makes me sad.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's okay that he's not real.
That Bowmaster surviving is because it's
And-
that ability is always there,
Right.
Like it's not a ETB effect only.
Yep, and so now we're going to see that second damage is able to kill the reflection of Kiki Jiki. The Orc Amass token is going to get to a 2/2, presenting multiple, even though they're like smaller threats, presenting multiple threats is super relevant against a deck
And then
full
we're
of
gonna have
1/1s.
3 more fresh cards off the vision coming in.
Yeah,
Like this is looking.
Even though life totals are very high for both players, I think we are seeing Eric starting to pull away with this game.
Yeah.
So we're resolving the Scry 2 off of the Serum Visions, and Sia's keeping 1 on top.
Reflection is gone.
Reflection is Deadzo. And so just the way that worked out for folks wondering at home, because the Serum Visions was still resolving, you wait until the Serum Vision fully resolves to resolve the Orcish Bowmaster's trigger.
Yep.
So you don't kind of in between the draw and the scry deal to 1, you gotta wait for everything to finish up. Yeah, I'm looking at. Yeah, there's nothing really going on in chat. I'm looking at it. Frank yelling at me to check chat. If you folks have any questions for Chris or I or even Frank, manning the stream booth, please feel free to ask us.
Oh, we have the last point
Oh.
card being played.
Mana
Drain, taking out
Drain.
that's a fairy was a way to get back into the game and
Yeah.
extra 5 mana now.
Yep.
Which notably, Eric had been missing land drops and now
Oh.
has the world available.
I doubt we're gonna see the Wheel of Fortune get played just because giving
No,
7
yeah,
cards
no.
to Sia would be just too much. But it would be sick if you had enough. If you had the
To
Narset,
Narset and then
you'd
be
have
able
enough to
do it.
Narset and
Yeah.
Wheel in the one turn. I don't think we have a Narset in hand though. Pulling the Wheel of Fortune to the front, it looked like.
There's no way you just fire that off.
No,
Yeah, that's not
that would be a
happening.
recipe
Yeah,
for
yeah.
potential disaster. I think. No reason to do that.
You have all the cards already.
Yes, yeah, you have 7 cards. Why? Yeah, unless you and you're in a what? What is happening? Okay.
Am
All right.
I have to be missing something?
Oh, he gets to amass.
Oh, he gets to
him.
amass him.
Oh
Oh,
my
yeah,
gosh, he's
yeah.
just gonna kill him. I guess.
Yeah,
that's,
there we go.
Yep,
Never mind.
Okay.
Yep. No, we got it. And he's tapped out, which is why you could
Yes.
do that.
Okay.
I forgot it's not just.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, this is also a combo. Turns out.
Yeah.
So even though Orcish Bowmasters lets your opponent draw all those
Those
extra
cards,
cards,
yeah,
it
this
deals them
makes a lot of
7,
sense,
and
yeah.
then it grows the amass token by 7. So it just kills.
And we
you.
get to watch a Lord of the Rings card.
Yep, win
Do
the
its
win
thing.
the match. So
Yeah,
Wow.
that makes a lot of sense. I didn't even consider that
Yeah.
at the get-go because I've never seen that interaction before.
so
in my life,
obviously
but-
Eric knows what he's doing with his own deck. Turns out,
Yeah.
and we don't. So this is why we thought he just was throwing away the game, and it turns out he was actually in the process of
winning the
it.
game. Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome back to the booth. I'm Adam.
Chris,
We are your commentators for today's Invitational Top 8 Championship.
we're mostly on the ball.
Yeah, mostly. Dad jokes and stupid puns and not knowing what cards do is the name of the game here at End of the Battlefield today. So we just saw the outcome of the first streamed match, which was Jeskai Cards, mid-range,
Range.
on Jeskai Cards, and Eric on Grixis.
Mid-range.
And Eric took it in 3 after losing game 1, so he had to break serve
Yeah.
and come back with it, and he was able to do that.
Yeah, that was. I'm sure Sia started that game looking at his hand and being like, "This is fantastic." He's got like his Ragavan ready to go, and just every corner, he kind of Eric had the answer, and you like to see 2 decks like that interact a ton together and watch some fun actual interplay between the 2
Yes.
players. I think we got to see the card draw and the points get played by Eric there at that time. And the Ragavan didn't get carried away, and
that's all she wrote. And yeah, the hidden mode of Orcish Bowmasters, which was just kill your opponent when they draw a bunch of cards.
Yeah,
that was
great.
a nice little play. So
We're here hoping for the Narset combo. Never
Yeah.
mind, he's got a better
yeah,
one.
yeah, this is also a similar type of thing, and actually a third card in Eric's deck does a similar type of deal, which is Hull Breacher.
Yeah.
Again, preventing opponents from drawing those extra cards. In that case, creating treasure tokens. So he has a few different kind of 1-2 punch card combos like that in his deck with the wheel and some other cards.
Yeah.
So, wow.
I think we'll give everyone a little bit of a break right now. We'll
Before we do that, do you just want to review the
yeah,
bracket?
let's do the bracket, and then we'll
take
do
a
a quick pause while we get the next round set up for
Yeah.
stream. Again, all of these following matches will be available on stream.
You like that Wheel of Fortune spice?
Yeah, they got Eric's
That
over.
was
We're
sick.
like, oh, he has the 7 cards already. He doesn't need to play this. And then it was like, oh, he just wins.
Okay. So top left, we saw Eric win over Sia. And then we mentioned on stream earlier that Dan with Paradox Academy won over Cameron. I think we suspect that was the favored match that the two of them were mentioning because they are playtest partners, it sound like, that came together. Do you want to call out the right-hand
Sure,
side?
yeah. We got Freya, who took down ETB staff David Vance on medium red. And we have Nathan on Grixis Reanimator, who took out Rick on Esper Reanimator. So we're going to have medium red against Reanimator, and we're going to have Grixis Midrange against Paradox Academy.
So, funnily enough, Dan being the only kind of green player left in the top 8 tournament. So, yeah, I thought green was strong.
It is,
not
but
today.
I guess, look, like maybe red is
Red is
maybe red is best. Who
yeah,
knows?
red is best. All right, so take a short break. You know, get stuff ready for round 2. Maybe take a bathroom break. Make sure you follow on Twitch. Subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification bell, subscribe on TikTok. We got Frank putting up some hilarious
we've
ones.
decided that we like being funny, so
Yeah.
we've started putting up a bunch of little reels, which have been doing real well. And we have everyone's favorite employee, Peter, in one of the videos.
Yeah. David, maybe not going to make it in Canlander, but actually a great actor.
Yeah, he
in that
has.
last-
There's a strike going on right now as well too. So if Dave's looking to break into film, this may be his moment. But yeah, we'll be back in a few minutes. We're gonna get the next matchup set up on the table over there, and then you can look at our 2 ugly mugs for a little bit longer.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.